March 3rd, 2012. I've been thinking about this for quite a while, and it has to do with I recently saw another little YouTube clip produced by somebody on YouTube, and it goes over the hero's journey, the sequential aspects of the monomyth, the hero adventure. And it struck me in relationship to what I was thinking. The final phase is living freely, being able to freely live within the world with joyful participation, just full on affirmation of your life and the lives among you and all of life. And I remember something Campbell talked about. He referred to another author. I can't remember who that was, but this other author mentioned two aspects that are required for this final initiation, this final realization and understanding. These two aspects are transfiguration and detachment. So rather than living our life as being possessed by something, being taken over by our passions, living our dreams out as if we have no conscious control over them, just having them erupt. Well, we want to detach from that. And however, we do not want to disassociate ourselves from the life we're living. So we want to stay in contact enough so as to allow this dream we're dreaming to transfigure us, allow us to grow. The world is what it is. However, we make it what we want. So there are these multiple perspectives unfolding where we want to be connected enough with life where it affects us, it changes us, however detached somewhat enough so that we can actually be consciously aware of how we've changed, how we've grown, so that we actually know we've learned something and we've grown. Otherwise, it's just one character after another coming upon us. Well, what I've been working with is this idea by Carl Jung of active imagination. And that there is this shadow aspect to us, and these are our repressed contents, these aspects of ourself that, if integrated, they threaten our conscious image of who we think we are. These are the difficult things, not the easy ones, like I'm getting older this year. Some people have a difficult time admitting that to themselves. Some people will even go so far as to never tell anyone their real age. And this has to do with not having integrated their negative aspects, not allowing themselves to be too attached to the wholeness of who they are, which is mixed both of dark and light. So, in my active imagination, it's just my bent. I'm challenged. I am in not the most abundant situation where there's a surplus. Meeting my needs is no problem, and there's a surplus where I can just adventure whatever I wish. And mainly this stems from a serious back injury that I have, and I received at a young age. So this thrust into the forefront of my everyday behavior that I have to limit myself and I have to be very careful as to how I move and what I do. And I tried to throw that off on a repeated basis. I was even instructed by family members and authorities to go into denial, to pretend that it really didn't exist. Like insurance companies, the insurance companies wanted me to pretend that it didn't really exist. The doctors, they were all saying, "You're lucky you're able to walk. Do whatever you can, as much as you can." But family was invested in this image that they had of me, and as a young person becoming disabled, that didn't fit into their image of me. So they wanted to pretend that I wasn't injured, that I didn't have the limitations that I was telling them I had. So I was continually bombarded with prominent, powerful individuals in my life that were telling me to behave contrary to what my physical body was sending me messages to behave like. Pain is a great teacher. It can inform us of a great deal of things about ourselves and our limitations. However, I also understand it's very logical. We want to transcend our fears. You never really know until you try, that kind of stuff. However, in my youth, with the extreme situation that I was influenced by my elders and the authority figures because I was raised to do that. I was raised to follow instructions. And that repeatedly got me injured, and I'm lucky to be walking today, so I walk every day because I can. However, within my own limitations. And I've learned that I have to I have to come to terms in certain instances with the perspectives of others, but I also have to come to terms with the fact that they have their own perspective that affirms their self-image, and that it may be too much for them to admit the facts of the matter. And some people are so good at throwing off the facts of the matter that they live in a completely delusional state. And many of these people are affirmed financially for believing in a delusion, as long as it profits them financially. Insurance companies are an example of this. They throw off all their accountability and responsibility, but they're held in great esteem. At least in my experience, and I understand my experience is limited, and I do not feel that they do this all the time. I'm sure there's just a certain percentage of the people that fall through the cracks. I happen to be one of those percentages, and, such is my experience, but I can't get too caught up in it. Having to learn this, however, was very difficult because I did not want to admit that all these things that I was trusting, believing in, had faith in, were failing me, and were, for all actual objective behavior is concerned, they were actually contrary to what I was raised and told they were.